Thank you for being here today. My name is Andrew M. Stroth, Managing Director of Action Injury Law Group, a national civil rights law firm based in Chicago. Here today, co-counsel partner Stephen Hart, McLaughlin Eldridge, co-counsel partner Jamal Buchanan, Disparti Law, Jim Ormond, senior counsel at Hart McLaughlin Eldridge. Othel Oriel Moore is also here today via Zoom, the sister of Othel Moore. Earlier today, Locke Thompson, the local prosecutor for Cole County, criminally indicted 4 officers for felony murder and 1 officer for involuntary manslaughter. In addition, 2 weeks ago, the warden of the Jefferson City Correctional Center was terminated. You all know why we're here. We're here because Othel Moore on December 8th, 2023 was unjustifiably killed by correction officers working at the JCCC. The reason it's so important is it's a watershed moment in America because there's been 5 criminal indictments against the officers who killed Othel Moore. Beyond that, we know there's a system, pattern, and practice of racist and unconstitutional abuse in the Missouri Department of Corrections, and especially within the Jefferson City Correctional Center. These charges are historic. These charges are unprecedented. When you hear about what happened, witnesses saw what happened. Video evidence shows what happened. It's George Floyd 3.0 in a prison. Othel Moore, like George Floyd, was beaten. Othel was actually pepper sprayed. They put a spit mask on his face. They put him in the prone position face down. They shocked him with shock gloves. The entire time before his death, Othel was screaming, "I can't breathe." The CERT team that operates at the Jefferson City Correctional System was a terror squad that on an ongoing basis terrorized inmates. We're here today, in addition to talking about the criminal charges filed. Within the last 10 minutes, we filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the Missouri Department of Corrections, the Jefferson City Correctional Center, and the officers, the now indicted officers who killed Othel Moore. We are just getting started with our investigation and our case, and we are demanding the release of the video and other evidence, and we are going to work with the family to get some level of justice, and we're going to work with the prosecutor's office and others to advance systemic change in America. And now I want to turn it over to my co-counsel partner, Stephen Hart.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Stephen Hart, H-A-R-T, with the law firm Hart, McLaughlin, and Eldridge. The first thing we want to do is thank the county prosecutor for his courage. It's a major, major step in law enforcement. So the chief prosecutor, lead law enforcement official of a county, has taken upon himself to hold power accountable. Those that were sworn to protect and serve inmates killed an inmate. And we believe, and we've alleged, they did so with depraved hearts in a cold-blooded manner. The definition of cruel and unusual punishment. And they did so, we believe, with impunity, at least they thought. And we believe that because they did it in open daylight with many, many witnesses captured on surveillance video. They must have concluded that these cruel acts were done to send a message to others watching, to the inmates that observed Othel take his last breath after he had cried out, making it clear he was unable to breathe. Can you imagine a more perfect definition of cruel and unusual punishment? This man was but a teenager when he lost his freedom. He had served the vast majority of his time repaying the debt to society. He had much to live for. He had a loving mother and has a loving mother, loving sister whom you will hear from shortly. But the facts and circumstances of this case are indeed shocking. They shock the conscience that law enforcement had the audacity, the temerity to pepper spray, and if that wasn't enough, to shock glove, and if that wasn't enough, to shackle him to a chair, that wasn't enough, to put a spit mask on him and another apparatus which clearly prevented him from breathing, which he made everyone aware of. And the eyewitnesses specifically recount how disturbing and frightening it was to hear Othel cry out, begging for mercy, begging ultimately for his life. And those that were there to protect and guard him murdered him. And so thank you to the prosecutor. Thank you for those that are going to pursue justice in all its forms. We're here on behalf of the family to pursue justice in the only justice they can receive, because Othel cannot come back to them. And they were so desperately waiting for him to do so and had great plans for him once he did. To pursue this civil case, federal court civil case, for cruel and unusual punishment, for excessive force, and many other counts which my co-counsel Ben will go through. Who's going to speak next?
Ben.
Andrew? Okay.
So we're now going to have Ben Embry, who is on Zoom, give a few more comments before we have Othel's sister speak. So Ben.
Thank you, Andrew. I just want it to be clear as we're filing this lawsuit is to echo Andrew and Steve's comments that Othel Moore's death is the culmination of a pattern and practice of abusive and systematic conduct by department correction officials in the state of Missouri engaging in abusive, violent, and fear-mongering within the Missouri corrections system. We believe the evidence in this case is going to show that there is a extensive pattern and practice of abusive and racist conduct by Missouri corrections officers. There's a culture of cruelty toward MODOC, Missouri Department of Correction inmates, in violation of their constitutional rights. And that this pattern and practice has been ratified and condoned by the top officials in the Missouri Department of Corrections, who had to have known and were aware of this conduct that these officers were engaging in. Othel Moore's death is not an isolated incident in the state of Missouri. And I'd like to thank the family and the prosecutor and my colleagues for bringing this lawsuit so that we can bring justice on behalf of Othel Moore and his family.
Thanks, Ben. Now we're going to get some remarks from the person who knows Othel the best, his sister, Oriel Moore.
So, first, I just want to say that my brother was a 38-year-old man. He did not deserve to be treated like this. And like I said before, my whole family is hurting because of this. We haven't saw my brother out here since he was a kid. He won't get to live his life. He doesn't even know what it is to be a grown man because he's been there since he was a kid. He won't have kids. He won't get to raise my kids with me. He won't get to come home to his mother like he wanted to help her. Um, he had plans. He wanted to be a productive member of society. He wanted to open a business. He wanted to be here. He looked forward to getting out. He had been there for so long already that this time that he had left was nothing. It was nothing to us and it was nothing to him either. I just knew he was coming home and it's not fair. It's not fair for this to happen because he helped people. Since we were kids, he's been helping people. That's what he always wanted to do, be in service to people. Um, Everywhere I go, people remember him from when he was a kid, from before he went there. Like, this just shouldn't have happened to him. He should be here. He matters. His life matters.
Thanks, Oreo. Thanks, Oreo. The other thing I'll mention is that we will be emailing out, Jason Bauman will be emailing out to you a copy of the federal civil rights complaint that was just filed. And at this point, if there's any questions, we'll take them, and if not, we'll conclude the press conference.